So time management, I'm going to take the slides down because I'm not going to bore you with a slide show today. Sorry, I'm just going to check the chat. And then I'm not sure if you saw that, you're Natalie's hero for making your own dress. So, alrighty. So when it comes to time management and time management techniques, I think there's a lot of things that we can do. And I did drop a note in Slack to you all this morning, which you may or may not have saw, just to come along to this session with your OKRs, and also, which hopefully are always visible for you and on hand, but also your task list or to-do list or whatever you use of that plan of what you have to do for this week. Because I want to do a little bit of a practical exercise with it. Now, if you don't have one, then I'll encourage you to take just a couple of minutes now to think of what are the important things that you need to get done this week, what needs to be on your list of things to do. And I'm not necessarily saying, you know, item by item, of course, although if you've got that, or, you know, other things that you might have to do, if you've got a really detailed list, that's fine. But at least at a high level, what is it that you want to achieve this week? You know, what's on your to-do list? What's on your, you know, I want to get this done list. So I'm just going to give everyone a couple of minutes just to either grab that if you haven't got it, or write it if you haven't actually got it at all. It doesn't matter whether it's handwritten or whether it's on a screen. If it is handwritten though, what I actually suggest is that you log into Zoom on your phone as well and just pop it on mute and turn the speaker off so you don't get that awful feedback sound, because I'm going to pop you into some breakout rooms today to do some little activities, and I'll want you to show someone else. So if you've got a handwritten list, if you have your phone, you can actually just use the camera, like turn the video on and then just hold it over the page to show somebody, rather than trying to hold it up in front and then you can't see anyone and, you know, you're waving it around in front of the camera on your laptop. So if that is what you need to do, I'll just give everyone a couple of minutes to get that sorted. But if you've got it on your computer, just to do a share screen, that's simple. So the first thing I want us to do, so we will drop out into some breakout groups so that you can talk about this a little bit between each other and share some ideas and how you are doing things. But when we caught up the other day and we did our little Pomodoro day, so where we worked on things in short bursts, we were breaking our tasks down into something we could get done in a short period of time. And we did a couple of little activities before we started. So one was called Eat the Frog. So it was identifying what is it on that list that perhaps we're putting off or we don't really want to do. And it's the harder thing. We tend to avoid it if we can, but we really just need to get it done and get it done first. And that could be first in our day, first in the week, whatever that might be. But also deciding if there's things on that list that are not necessary. So things that, you know, could really be eliminated from the list, just kind of busy work that isn't important. But also looking at it and deciding, you know, what are those things that are quick wins? So the things that we can get done, you know, quite quickly. So you could put a little star beside them or something like that. So I usually, you know, an F or whatever for the frog, or a star, whatever system works for you. So have a look at your list and do that. I'm going to pop you into a breakout room, and then I'm just going to put, what are we, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think there's 12 of us. Yeah, because Natalie, we've got you and your phone, so I'll try and keep you together when I put you into a breakout room. So we've got 12. So I'm just going to put us out into 4 rooms. So there'll be 3 in each room. And I want you just to explain to the other people in your group what's on your list, but what's a frog, what's a quick win, and why anything that's on your list is important. And if you've crossed something out, then you can say, you know, why is it not important? So just that little bit of, I guess, you know, validating the items on your list as to why they're worth having on your list. And if you're the person listening, I want you just to listen to someone else explain their list. So, and we won't take long on this. So it'll be, if we've got 3 in a room, we'll probably go for about 8 minutes. So you just have like 2 minutes each and a little bit of change over time. So just to explain what's on your list to someone else. And for others, I just want you to listen. Okay, so you don't have to give any feedback. You don't have to ask any questions. I just want you to listen. So any questions before we jump out? All right. So hopefully you found that exercise enlightening, having to think about what it is that you've got on your list and why it's there and whether it's actually important or not. And sometimes just saying it out loud is enough for you to go, I actually don't know why that's on my list. Or it might have also prompted you to think about things that perhaps you would normally have on your list that weren't there, or something that you think of that could be on your list that isn't there at the moment. So there's a few different things when it comes to managing time, but one of the things that I guess we often find is we see people doing things that is not on any list. They're just doing stuff. So during the week here, obviously I run a co-working space, people come in and they work, or people that I work with, we talk about what they do, and they're just going through the motions of the day without actually being intentional about it. And it's not on a list. So it's not either in a standard operating procedures of running a business, you know, something that you know just has to be done in the day and this is how it happens and this is how it works. Or it's not on a list of something like an OKR task list where I'm doing it because I want to grow my business in a particular direction, or personal stuff often doesn't make it onto the list. And sometimes that's because we don't think about it, and other times it's because we don't put enough importance on ourselves. And Ian mentioning, you know, he actually went shopping and bought himself something, and that was a real surprise. Like, it doesn't normally happen. That happens, you know, not only with shopping, but also with what we do for ourselves. So, you know, it could be a hair appointment, or it could be going to get a massage or something like that. If we don't make it happen, then it just doesn't happen. So, and some of us can go several years without a haircut or whatever it might be, because we'd never put it on our list of things to do. So having a balance between your business tasks and your, when I say business, your business as usual tasks, your personal tasks, so life, the things that you need and want to do, but also those growth tasks. So the things that you want to move towards that aren't, you know, no one will necessarily know if you don't do them, because your business will be running okay, but it won't be growing the way you want it to grow, and being intentional about that. And then the other thing is the other people in your life that you need to interact with, whether they're expecting something from you or relying on something from you, and whether you're maybe holding them up and vice versa in getting things done. So just in the conversation I was in, I just made a couple of notes as I was listening to people talk. And one of them was around, you know, how you do things. Are you a list person on a spreadsheet, or are you a handwrite? Now, I have a handwritten list here every day, but I also have a digital to-do list with lots of things on it. But if I try and look at my list of lots of things, that's overwhelming. So I pick out the things for today and I handwrite them, and then they stick in my mind better. So that works for me. So it's finding that style that works for you is really important. Also, one of the things that come up was, you know, what's annoying you? And it could be annoying you in terms of you want it to happen, or you want it to stop happening, or, you know, it's on your list but you wish it wasn't, those sorts of things. So thinking about, is there something that annoys you, and can you eliminate it? And I have this little thing, I'm not sure if any of you have actually been into my office before, but I have this little thing stuck to my wall, which I'm just pulling off. I'm going to hold it up there, whether you can see that or not. So it's just this little matrix, and it has on there, is it urgent or not urgent? Is it important or not important? Now, if it's urgent and important, you want to do it. If it's urgent but not important, you want to delegate it. If it's not urgent but it's important, then you want to schedule it so that it gets done at an appropriate time. But if it's not urgent and it's not important, you want to eliminate it. So if it's something that annoys you quite greatly, you really want to look at that and decide if it's fitting in one of these categories where you could be delegating it or eliminating it, then do that. Don't just keep doing it and letting it annoy you. Actually work out a way for you not to have to do it. either at all or not you. So where it doesn't happen at all, or it isn't you that does it. Because the frustrations like that in life are often what drain us, and then we don't achieve all the things that we want to achieve. So the urgency, the priority, the other thing I had on that, which I didn't just point out then, but I also have this, and sorry, I said not to hold things up in front of your computer, which I'm doing today. Excited or bored? So is it something that excites me, or is it something that I find actually really quite boring? Now, sometimes you have to still do some of the boring things, but does it have to be you? Again, like, is there someone that you could delegate that to? Or is there a computer program or some sort of automation that you could put in place that means that you don't actually have to physically do it? You don't have to apply that mental effort for it to be achieved. You know, could you automate the process in some way because it's boring, and particularly if it's not all that important that you are the one doing it? So when you're looking at anything on your list, just try and apply those principles. Is it important and exciting or exciting? Urgent or not urgent? You know, are you doing it or scheduling it? Then when we come to scheduling, you know, do we have something to show what we're going to do at different times? And again, it could be a piece of paper sketched out that just says Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It could be a digital calendar. And I know I've shown you, I use Google Calendar, and I'm a color person when it comes to that. If everything was the one color, it just wouldn't stand out for me. So I like to use different color to highlight the different types of things that I'm working on. And that also allows me to see, have I got some balance in my life? So all my tasks for me are in one color, my life tasks, and then my tasks for Canvas co-working are a color. And then my tasks for the things that I'm doing for personal development are a different color. And tasks like projects that I'm working on or things that I want to work on now, to have them available in the future, so growth type tasks, are a different color again. So if I look at my whole week, you know, in one view, I can see, is it really heavily weighted towards one color or another color, or is it quite split? So the next thing I want you to do, and I'm going to pop you into breakout groups, is just to have a chat about how you get that, I'm going to call it balance or unbalance, as Anna likes to call it, in your life. Make sure it's not unbalanced the wrong way. So it's either unbalanced in the positive way for you, or it is as balanced as you want it to be. But can you see that, and how do you know? And then can you look at ways that you can adjust that if required? So we'll pop into some groups, and I just want you to, again, share. You can either share, and I'm not sure if any of you tried to share. We had, Anna could share, but Kate couldn't share screen before, so I'm not quite sure why. So if you tried to share screen and couldn't, hopefully you will be able to now if you want to. Otherwise, just talk through it. But how do you get that representation of your whole week, and how do you know what's going to fit in where, that you're going to start to see that balance of activities throughout your week on the focus of the different parts of your life and business that are important to you? So we'll drop out to groups. You may not be in the same group, okay? So you might be in a different group, but we'll break out and have a little chat on that for another, let's say, I think we needed a little bit more time, so we'll go 10 minutes on that one. All right. So hopefully everyone had a good chat. I'm going to pick on a couple of you just to share any highlights from your room. So Katarina.
Ah, there you go.
There we go.
We two highlights. It's always good to we discussed when our attention is the best during the day, and to figure that out, to do like an energy schedule, and to say you know, to really be conscious about am I the most productive in the mornings, and then to schedule time in for the, you know, for the hard work, for the frogs we discussed earlier, that we're procrastinating, postponing, and then when our energy is low, then it's probably good to have a break or have a meal time or do something fun, like reading a book or something.
Wonderful. Excellent. And sorry, I can't remember who was together in other groups. So someone from another group that wants to just share a highlight from your group? Linda?
So Ashley and Matt arrived home in the middle of ours, which was fantastic because we could actually hear each other.
That's good.
So we talked about the beauties of Google Calendar and being able to share things and pre-plan. So yeah, and of course still using a handwritten day-to-day. I think you do that as well, Ashley. Yep.
Fantastic.
Masterclass, we're enjoying it, but we're still new to it and just getting a feel for it.
What was it that you enjoyed?
Mastertask.
Yes. Yep. Cool. Very good. And who was in the fourth room? Natalie? Yep.
We basically just spoke about how guilty we feel when we take time out for ourselves and just identified that. And Candice also shared this pretty cool tool that she has got access to, which creates like a bit of a pie chart. So if you did the spreadsheet properly and allocated time to personal time, you could actually see visually. But none of us were doing that at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Very
good.
good.
So that tool was part of a ideas to outcomes workshop through TAFE that we had to fill out, and I remembered that through this, and so I thought I'd be happy to share that template if anybody wanted it.
Cool. Thank you. Maybe you can drop it into Slack and then anyone who's interested can pick it up from there. That would be good.
I might even just talk to them. I'm not sure if I can share it. It's a TAFE document, so I might actually need to get permission, or I can just copy some of the tabs across.
All right. If you can't, let me know. I have one, which has got a spreadsheet with some pivot tables and stuff in it that you can have a look. But Google Calendar was our topic as well, and I think it's a great tool.
Could you please explain a little bit more about the Google Calendar?
Yeah, so, well, Anna, do you want to share? Because I know you shared yours as well, and people hear from me all the time.
Okay. Yes, I've been using Google Calendar. I have a couple of different shared calendars, personal ones, as well as work ones, which I share with Linda and Lauren. But I love that it's on my phone all the time. I have different colours for different categories. I love that you can drag and drop when things need to be moved. Like if we do schedule a webinar, but it needs to be moved to next week, it's as simple as that. And I love that it has a notes section in it that you can put the details in it. So if you're going to a location, that can be in there. I also love the pictures. And you say you're going to the dentist and a picture of a dentist comes up. If you say you're going to an actual location, that coffee shop, if they're listed on Google, will come up. So, and I love that you can do it daily, monthly and weekly, however you want to look at it. Per week, it's done by hours, but I usually work at the month at a glance. I don't put everything in there, but everything that needs to be remembered. So when I'm at the dentist or at the hairdresser or whatever, it goes straight in there. So I'm not writing anything down in terms of dates. And I love the reminders. I also then can put it into like my things go into a handwritten thing, but bullet journaling has helped me with using my paper version. So if you don't know about bullet journaling, there is a website called bulletjournal.com, and I really like the way that they pass things on. So you can say whether it's done or not, or whether it's forwarding and being passed on to the following week. I've been using that system for a couple of years now, and yes, this is the third diary like this that has worked really well with bullet journaling as well. So yeah, this is my master list though. And I love that Linda knows what's going on. Sometimes Lauren just puts stuff from like Lauren has different calendars as well. So things will pop up and you have to say, whose is that? But they've just put it on the wrong calendar. Keeps life interesting.
Cool. Thanks,
Can
Anna.
I share another tool to Joy?
Yeah, sure.
When we were doing some like really intensive coaching on efficiency and productivity throughout the week, there was a tool that we used to actually measure what we were spending our time on throughout the week, so that we could get a bar graph at the end to show us how much of it was actually productive, how much was it on the things that you were meant to be doing versus the things that were urgent fires that popped up. And it was extremely enlightening, even for someone like myself who considers myself fairly organized, quite efficient. It was very enlightening, and it's not the type of thing you have to do forever. You just do it for a couple of weeks, because you have to track literally every time you change to a different task. But it's easy, you just click the button. But the app is called Todoist, so Todoist. And I just found it very enlightening. Like, if you're the type of person that struggles with time management, or knowing exactly where your week went, like if you get to the end of the week and go, oh my gosh, like that was such a week, but I really don't know exactly what I achieved. It's really, really enlightening to go back and see what's actually happening, not what you think happened.
Excellent. I think that's a great activity. And I know even with my Google Calendar, I go back and change things if I didn't do what I had scheduled to do, change it. So you can look back at the end of the day and go, this is what I spent my time on, whether I feel good about that or not, this is actually what I did. But usually it's good. But Masterclass that we just mentioned before as well has a time tracking tool in it, and it will only let you track time on one task at a time. You can only be working on one thing. So if you turn the time on something else, it turns it off on whatever you were working on prior, because most of us know that, well, Anna had a different example, but generally you don't multitask. Like, we don't multitask well. You can focus on one thing at a time, unless of course it's a social activity and exercise, then maybe they can cross over. But when it comes to business, usually it's one at a time. So thank you for that. So project management tools are definitely helpful as well. But the other thing that I wanted to just raise today was a little thing. It's called the Pareto principle, and some of you might be familiar with it. And it's generally where 80% of your income comes from 20% of your customers, or 80% of your outcomes, come from 20% of your efforts. So we do tend to spend a lot of time faffing around unless we're really intentional. And as Ashley said, you might not need to track your time really closely forever, but for a couple of weeks can be good. But also tracking the output. So if you're doing something, is it actually producing the output that you're wanting from the effort that you're putting in? So if you haven't done that, I'm not going to ask you to do it necessarily right this minute, because you need to think about what it is that you want to track. But if it's, let's say, customers and revenue, if you don't have a system yet to say, my revenue comes from these particular customers, and I know not all of you are generating revenue yet, but it could be, if you're looking for something, so let's say you're looking for introductions, if I can track where my introductions come from, so maybe it's attending a networking event, or making a cold call, or sending an email, or sending a newsletter, or posting something on Facebook. If those new introductions or new leads or opportunities are coming from somewhere in particular, do you know where they're coming from? And you'll probably find that the majority of them will be coming from only a couple of sources. So 80% of them will probably come from 20% of your sources. If you know that, then it can help you in determining what tasks are worth working on as opposed to not. And sometimes it's worth working on because you either do it better, it works better, or it's just a more efficient tool. So it doesn't require as long to do as something else. So looking at those things is important. But then the second thing that goes alongside of that is, does it need to be you? So for those of you who have teams, so whether it's yourself and your partner, or you've hired somebody, or you're outsourcing entirely to someone else, like to another business to do something for you, you'll know the feeling of, this thing just happened and I didn't have to do it. It is an elating feeling. And I don't know if elating is actually a word, but it makes you feel elated to go, I needed this thing to happen. It's now happened. I didn't do it. And generally the only way that can happen is by having procedures or processes documented in such a way that you can hand that over to someone else, or it's the type of task that someone else would already know exactly how to do it. Maybe there's a written rule by the tax office, for example, on how to do your taxes. You don't have to do that, but to get the information to someone else for them to do something for you, there generally has to be a process. So when you're looking at your tasks on your list of things to do in a day or a week, and this is often done best as a retrospective. What did I do today, or what did I do last week? So if you're tracking that for a little while, you can look at those tasks and go, okay, was this actually something that I needed to do? So if, and I'll just pick on Anna again for a second. If it's a Facebook Live paint along with Anna, yes, Anna needs to do that, okay? But if it's not, then perhaps she doesn't, okay? So if you're thinking about the things that you're doing, is it you that your customer or audience is actually expecting to see or know has actually done that? Or could someone else do it? And there comes, I guess, a couple of layers of you determining whether it's really important for you to do it. One, if it needs to be your face, yes, okay. Or your words, perhaps. Or perhaps you only need to edit it if it needs to be your words and someone else could have drafted it, but you're doing the editing to make sure it sounds like you. But we have this thing called a zone of genius, and it's the things that you are ultimately the best at, and that's why you're in business doing this particular business, because you are really good at it. And not to say that no one else in the world possibly could do it, but no one could do it the way you do it. And that's why your business exists. If you are that uniqueness and you bring that value to your business, then that part must be you. But otherwise, it's probably something that you're perhaps capable of doing, or perhaps not. But you're doing it anyway, and maybe it's taking a really long time, or you don't actually do it very well because it's not in your zone of genius. It's not a strength that you have. You might not like doing it, and therefore you don't put a lot of time and effort and attention into it. Unless it needs to be your voice, your face, it could be someone else. It's then determining what of those things is it worth me doing, and what should I really be getting someone else to do because I'm effectively incompetent or incapable of it. And there are things that we are incompetent at, either through personal preference or skill. So sometimes we just haven't learned how to do something, and, lodging doing an audit on your taxes, well, you can't do that yourself, okay? Doing your best, maybe you can do it, but you're not really great at it, and you'd be better off to outsource that to someone else. Social media is another one, okay? Maybe you can do it or you are doing it, but it might not be achieving the outcome you're looking for. So therefore, are you better to actually engage someone else to do it? Now, of course, you can't just flick it to them and expect them to be able to do it without any guidance or information. So thinking about what's that process is really important. So again, it's often done best as a retrospective, but what I want you to do now, and I'll drop you into groups and we'll just talk about them, but what things are there that you're doing that are perhaps written on your list, or you're just, you're going to actually spend time on them this week, that really ultimately, and it might not be this week, but in the not too distant future, you could pass on to someone else. So you could delegate, okay? You could outsource it, or you could delegate it to someone else to do. And then what will it take for you to actually be able to do that? So do you need to write down the procedures when you do it this week so that you can say, here's a list of how I do it, and you could give that to somebody else then to do. And it may not be next week, that might still take a little while for you, but you're starting the preparation to be able to hand that off to someone else. So I want you to think about what's on your list that you need not be doing, like it's not essential for you to be doing, and probably focus on the things that you're actually, I'm going to say, incompetent at, the things that you're really just not producing the best outcome for, and we all have them. And then how can you start to document the procedure or the process for that you could put in front of someone else and they would know what to do. And then, between yourselves, have a little chat about if you've done that before, what that experience was like, how you prepared to hand something off, to delegate it. And if you've got any tips or tricks or tools that you use that you can share. So we'll drop that into our groups again and have a chat about that. So is everyone good with that? Just a little thumbs up or something if you understand. Yep. Okay, cool. All right, so we'll do that now. All right, so we'll do a little run around. So Wendy, do you want to tell us any highlight outcomes from your conversation?
We had a good discussion about outsourcing and just empowering people and the trust in what you have to trust people to do and not be worried about it. But I guess it was also discussing about where to find people that can do a few things an hour, and also trusting your gut. If you do get someone in and it doesn't work, you tend to sort of hang on to them and hope that it sort of does work and give them a bit more time. That, if it's not working out, bite the bullet and go, like, get somebody else, because you're invested time and energy in your business, where you have to then go back to square one to do that again if it doesn't work out as well. So, and I was trying to think, it's not Fiverr, it's another one that I've used, that you actually put how much you want to pay. Like if you want to get someone graphic design and do it.
Freelancer?
No, it's not freelancer.
There's a few. Yeah.
Upwork. That's what it was. Yeah, Upwork, which is really handy, because Natalie and Candice and I were just talking about, some things you can get. And Candice was talking about having to get barcodes to go onto Amazon for all her products, and she's got so many SKUs that it was going to cost her some ridiculous amount. And we said, well, there should be some expert out there that knows all about that sort of thing. So, it's putting it out there on Upworks, particularly for those one-off things that you can do that. And then you hand it over to them, give them the brief, and it takes that away and you don't have to worry about it. So no, we had a good discussion.
Very good. Thanks, Wendy. Anna H., what about your room?
So we talked about how important it is to really understand the area you're trying to outsource. So if you're trying to outsource your social media, which is what we want to do, or you're trying to outsource, say, website building or whatever, that it's super important that you actually understand what you're outsourcing and what you want out of it. Or you probably, first of all, aren't going to end up with what you want to end up with, but you can also end up spending a lot of money to someone who can't even do what you really want them to do.
Yeah, if you don't know what you want, it's hard to get it from someone else if you don't know what it is to start with. Yep, definitely. All right, thank you. And Ian, you're with us. Do you want to share your room? You might not be. Matt, how about yourself?
No, it's not.
I was going to say, Ian's been busy, I think, the last couple of breakouts.
Okay.
Yeah, so for us, it was I'm also reflecting on our side of things. We've got another business, of course, and learning from that experience is with Phyto being a new business, starting to delegate sooner in the business than later, because it becomes a bit harder once you've kind of embedded it into your routine and habit, and harder to let go. So that's been good. So we actually wrote down a list of things that we can start, I guess, focusing in more with Phyto, and then also do the same with the kitchen coach as well as we get that underway.
Great. Yep. And hindsight's a wonderful thing, and we can learn from the lessons of the past. That's a really good outcome. Awesome. So I want to cover one more thing, and then we'll have a little break, and then we'll come back and just do our 3-minute pitches. So the last thing I wanted to raise was around busy work, procrastination, and productivity, and being aware of when you're being productive, when you're just being busy, and then when you're actually procrastinating. And there's a great TED talk, which I had considered playing for you, but I'm not going to today because I'm just conscious of the time. But I'll share a link to it in Slack. It's by a fellow called Tim Urban. And it's just a TED talk. So it's about 12, 15 minutes about procrastination. But there's a thing that he talks about in there, and it's called the dark playground. And I'm not sure if anyone's watched it before, but in the dark playground is the place you go and play when you should be doing something else. And it's the things that you do when you're either avoiding doing something that you know is perhaps challenging for you, so you don't know how to do it, or it's hard, or you're tired and you actually need a break, but you think you should be working. So you just keep going, but you do something that isn't actually productive for you. So sometimes it can be useful to know I've got these tasks I can do when I'm tired and maybe I'm not feeling, you know, creative or something like that. And for me, it's bookkeeping, because I find numbers easy. So if I'm tired, I can just do bookkeeping and it gets the job done, and it's fine at the end of the day. But if I had to sit down and, you know, write something in a creative way, or create some social media content, or create a new course or program or event, or write a grant application, you know, I can't do those things when I'm tired. It just will not work. So I can find, though, that some days I'll be doing bookkeeping stuff at 9 o'clock in the morning, and it's literally because I'm putting off the other thing that I really should be working on that I just don't want to, because it's hard. And I think it'll be hard, at least until I get started. And then I usually find that it actually wasn't as hard as I thought. So for me, that's almost like a dark playground activity. Of course, social media absolutely can be. You know, we can go to social media just to do a Facebook post. And then 3 hours later, you still haven't done the Facebook post and you're getting off social media. And then you go, oh, what did I go there for? Yeah, that's right. But you can get caught in this trap of things. You know, YouTube or Pinterest, or, you know, all of those things that we know that if we're there, we're really procrastinating. We're not doing what we should be doing. But recognizing them is important, and actually having a bit of a list. So if you know that you've got things that you do that are, oh, thanks, Nat, we'll see you soon. Things you do that you can do when you're not feeling it, like there's still important tasks that you could be working on when you're not feeling particularly creative. That's one thing. But if you've got no, not tasks at all, but things that you do instead of doing what you need to be doing, can you actually identify them? All right. And maybe it's Instagram or Pinterest or something like that, or maybe it's, I don't know what else it would be for you, but what are those dark playground activities? I want you to think about them. I want you to write a list, whether it's on a Post-it note or a little piece of paper or something that you can stick up on the side of your monitor, or, you know, beside your desk or whatever. And these are dark playground activities that if you see that list and you are doing one of those things, you know, it's actually time to stop, go for a walk, do something else, refocus for 5 minutes and come back and sit down and get back to the shit that you need to be doing, the important stuff that is actually important, and realizing that you'd drifted. Okay. So I want you to take that time. So we'll break out again so you can chat about them, but a list of the things you can do that are still important when you're not in the zone, and you can just fall back to. And then the things that are your dark playground activities, the things that really don't add any value to your life whatsoever, but you do them instead of doing anything else that you should be doing. So are we good with that? Yep, we understand. Okay, all right. So we'll go and just 10 minutes, and then we'll come back and have a little break, and then we'll do our pictures. But we'll do a quick little run around of what happened, a little highlight from each room. So Anna, we might start with you.
This one or the other one?
Oh yes, sorry, yes.
Someone actually called out to me on the weekend, and I had to think, is it this Anna or the other Anna? So I'm totally getting trained into having a couple of Annas in the room. It's a surprise when it's not. So we spoke about procrasta cleaning, procrasta painting, procrasta hiking, possibly, I don't know, and setting times. And I know that personally I sort of like to start work at 10 o'clock. That's my plan. Kate's more of a 5:30 person, which is lovely for her, but not for me. The other thing that did come up was that we were all bed makers, and I know that's actually there's a TED talk about that, isn't there? That was shown to my kid actually last year or the year before when they're in grade 5. The teacher was saying, like, this is a good reason to make your bed, and the parents were totally behind that. But I do make my bed every single day. Like, the rest of my house could be an absolute tip, but my bed is made, and it feels great. And it was just such a trivia thing, isn't it? I wonder how many of us do that because we are productive people. Is that a thing? There's a one hand up. Yes, there's an Ashley. Oh, Wendy's a bed maker. Are you not, Helen? Helen's not. She's keeping her hands way down.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm a messy bed.
She's a messy bed. Well, that makes you interesting to me.
I was away for a sec, so no, I'm definitely a bed maker, and my husband isn't. And he likes to tell me that no, I don't make the bed. Would you tie your shoes together when you took your shoes? I was like, not the same thing.
Not the same thing. There's a whole TED talk about it, as we said. Whole TED talk. So anyway, there you go, Helen. If you're happy with yourself, you just keep doing what you're doing. But gee, it feels good. Feels good. All right, I'm going now. Someone else.
You've accomplished something for the day. Helen, we might jump to you. What was your chat about in your room?
It was pretty similar, actually. We skipped the beds. We talked about procrastinating. I love that term. Although it was not so much procrastinating as, you know, going and finding something that's useful to do, something that needs to be done when you don't have the brain power to do anything else. We talked about the pitfalls of little YouTube or music pick me up, and then suddenly 2.5 hours have passed. Yeah, but that's sort of it. And then we talked about getting outside for a refresh, and you know, spending some time in the sun, and you know, getting away from the computer and coming back with a new frame of mind.
Cool. Thanks, Helen. Linda, what was your conversation about?
We talked about the pitfalls of checking social media, even if it is for a business purpose when you're following other people, but it can be, it can be quite a trap. And Matt was saying that he's got an app that actually locks him out of certain, you know, once you've been in a page for a while, it will lock you out for the rest of the day. And I was thinking, whoa. I liked Ashley's her playground, going and writing recipes. And what was the other one? It was building a model of your house, your dream house. I thought that was pretty good. Yeah. No bed making discussed in ours.
Maybe because you already make your beds and you were there, so that's good. Nat, perhaps you can share a link to that one in the Slack channel.
I will. I'm not on my computer, so I'll do that when I'm back there.
Yep, no worries, all good. And Candice, what happened in your room?
So Wendy and I had a little chat about our tasks and what we do during a day, and both of us sort of agreed that whilst we understand that there are certain things out there that can, you know, cause you to go into a dark playground and procrastinate or whatever, I feel like for me, if I don't get something done, I don't want to do something, I'll usually try and get it done. We don't really have any tasks that you know, cause us to procrastinate or forget. But yeah, like we had a bit more of a talk about some of the things that, you know, that we like to sort of make sure we keep on top of. But yeah, we really sort of had a lot of a talk around, you know, things that we just sort of get onto, you know, as part of just who we are. We just get in and get shit done. if that makes sense. I hope that sort of, yeah.
Yep, cool. Very good. Well, if you can, that's good. I'll challenge you that there's potentially things that you're not putting on your list that you don't want to do. So you don't have to say, I didn't do them. They just never made it there, possibly. But because often there's something that we often don't want to do. But yeah, procrastination is usually runs in everybody's blood somewhere along the way. Cool. All right. Well, I want to just take a little break now. We'll just take maybe 10 minutes. It's 11:30, so we'll be back at 11:40. And if you can be ready to deliver your 3-minute version of your pitch, that would be good. If you've got slides, you'll be able to share them. It's up to you. You don't have to. I encourage you to, though, if you've got them, or to start to work towards that. And yeah, we'll see you at 11:40. So hopefully some of those topics that we just talked through are valuable for you. I really do encourage you to do them on a regular basis, particularly reviewing your to-do list and looking at the things that you've got on there and determining, are they urgent or not urgent, important or not important, and looking at that matrix. And I'll share that with you as a little tool. But also for the things in your personal life as well, you know, do they make you excited or do they make you bored, and why are you doing them? And some of our conversation was, you know, outsourcing, but outsourcing some of the personal stuff. You know, do you need to mow your own lawn if you don't like mowing lawns? Or do you need to clean your own bathroom and floors if you don't like doing it? Can you outsource that and take that time back and reclaim it for something that makes you excited as well? And really thinking about what tasks are you doing in your week, in your day. You know, every moment of the day is your choice what you do with it. Are you actually being conscious about that and choosing the things that, you know, in Anna's words, bring you joy, and or help your business grow and make you money? Because ultimately that's what you're doing it for. Otherwise you'd just be running a charity, and it's, you know, you want it to make you money. Are you doing stuff that's going to help you do that? And it might not be as direct as that, but it's got to get you there eventually. Or are you just doing things that, you know, fill the time and make you feel busy?